This is Nubia from Kerala, Agriculture Officer.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. This is Chandrabhanu from Nellore district, sir, Andhra Pradesh.
Very good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir. This is Indrapriya from Tamil Nadu.
Madam, you are from
Tamil Nadu, sir.
Tamil Nadu. Okay, very good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir. I'm Suchitra.
Hello. Yama.
Sir, some cross talk is coming, sir. Ranjit Kumar, sir.
Good morning, sir. I'm Suchitra from Annamaya district, working as agriculture officer.
Good morning, sir. I am Kunal Prasad from Jharkhand. Assistant Professor.
Sir, start చేయండి sir. Hello, sir.
Okay, sir.
Sir. Hello, sir. Sir, Praveen sir. అక్కడ ఏదో పోయింది.
Suresh చెప్పండి.
హలో ప్రవీణ్ సార్.
మేడం.
స్టార్ట్ చేయండి సార్. 53 పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ జాయిన్ అయ్యారు సార్.
ఓకే, సార్ జాయిన్ అవుతారా మన డైరెక్టర్?
మీరు పిలిస్తే జాయిన్ అయిపోతారు. Sir.
Morning, madam. Now our director is going to join within 1-2 minutes.
Srimati from Tamil Nadu, sir.
Okay, madam. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. This is Dr. Ari from Tamil Nadu.
Okay, our director has arrived. Good morning to all the speakers who have aided from agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, sericulture, and other line departments from overall India. Good morning to Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, sir, Director, Extension Education Institute, Rajendra Nagar, Hyderabad. And also good morning, Sri Sanjay Kalikar, sir, who had already joined, sir, Joint Director, Extension Training, Director of Extension, Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Government of India, New Delhi. Good morning, Dr. V. Sudharani, ma'am, Director of Extension, Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State Agriculture University, Hyderabad. Good morning to the webinar speaker, Dr. G.V. Ramanjaneyulu, Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Agriculture, Hyderabad. Good morning to another speaker, Mr. Anirudh Kenny, Director of Business Development and Partnership from Bhumitra NGO. Good morning to all the faculty members of the EEI, technicians of the EEI, and all the officers and departmental person. Today, our Extension Education Institute is organizing webinar on carbon trading in agriculture and allied sector. For this program, I am welcoming all the participants headed from different line departments like agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, sericulture, and etc. And also I welcome Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, sir, Director, Extension Education Institute, Hyderabad. And also I welcome Sri Sanjay Kalikar, Joint Director, Extension Training, Directorate of Extension, Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture, Farmer Welfare, Government of India, New Delhi. And also I welcome Dr. V. Sudharani, Madam, Director of Extension, Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State Agriculture University, Hyderabad. And also I welcome our speaker, Dr. G.V. Ramanjanelu, Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Agriculture, Hyderabad. And also I welcome another speaker, Mr. Anirudh Kenny. He is a Director of Business Development and Partnership, APAC Africa, Bhumitra NGO. And also I welcome all the faculty of EEI and all the technicians of EEI and all the department officials for this webinar on carbon trading in agriculture and allied sector. So actually, the purpose of this program is carbon trading is gaining importance in agriculture sector, is for buying and selling of carbon credits that are generated by practice and that reduces green gas emission. These practices to be included things like conservation tillage, agroforestry, and other sustainable land management techniques. The concept of this carbon trading in agriculture sector is seen as a way to provide financial incentive to the farmer to adopt environmental friendly practices. And also carbon footprints as well as carbon credits carries an importance in our daily life. Everyone should realize its effects and should try to practice the nature from its adverse effect. And also the carbon credit business is a rapidly changing business, and people should be aware that market rate protocols and regeneration programs can be changed quickly. So I request Dr. M. Jaganmohan Reddy sir, Director EI Hyderabad, to tell about this webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Praveen, for illustrating the necessity of the webinar. I welcome Dr. Sanjay Kalikarji, the Joint Director, Extension Training, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India, New Delhi. Our Director of Extension, Madam who is going to join shortly, Dr. V. Sudharani ma'am. The speakers of today's webinar, Dr. G.V. Ramanjanelu garu, the Executive Director for Center for Sustainable Agriculture, Hyderabad, as well as Sri Anirudh Kenny, Director of Business Development and Partnerships, APAC and Africa, Bhumitra, as well as the officials attending Pan India. Even I requested Padaria ji, the Joint Director IARI, and some of the students from IARI also joined, along with our students, Faculty of Agriculture College, Rajendra Nagar, the faculty of our EEI, and other ladies and gentlemen. We felt it is the need of the hour to get a comprehensive understanding about the carbon trading, which is also one of the area being discussed thoroughly in this G20 summit. And it is quite accidental that this webinar is being organized during the culmination and the fag end stage of the G20 summit that is going to be held shortly in New Delhi. As rightly told by Dr. Praveen, the coordinator, organizer of this webinar. So day by day, the carbon emissions are being increased in the form of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. So in order to have the balance, those who are doing more emissions, they will be taxed. Those who are minimizing, they will be given privileges. That is the crude way of understanding. So that if anyone is spoiling the environment, definitely they have to be penalized one or other way. If anyone is contributing for the betterment of the ecosystem and environment, they will be supported. They will be exempted from different taxes, or they will be given some privileges. And it is gaining momentum. The knowledge on carbon footprint, the knowledge on carbon trading, and the modalities is at the nascent stage. How this kind of market-based approach aiming at reducing the greenhouse gas emissions is being discussed at various high-level summits, high-level platforms. The protocols, the SOPs are being developed in a full-fledged way. So in that context, so we have organized this, we have intended to organize this webinar, and I am very much thankful to the speakers in spite of their busy schedule. So they could able to give time for enlightening our officials, because you are the pillars. The middle level officials are the crux of the entire system. You are the bridge between the policymakers as well as farmers. So that's why I welcome our Director of Extension, Sudha Rani ma'am, for this webinar. Just now we are started, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Kalikarji.
So we have around 81 participants, ma'am.
Okay.
So attending Pan India from different states, and some of the students and faculty from IRI also joined. So this is how our journey has started to design this webinar on carbon trading. We are also thankful for approval of this webinar by Government of India as well as our university for giving this opportunity to conduct such a need-based topic. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Jagan Mohan Reddy, sir, for focusing few points on carbon trading. Now I request Dr. V. Sudha Rani, Madam, Director of Extension, Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State Agriculture University, Hyderabad, to give introductory remarks on this carbon trading in agriculture and allied sector.
Yeah. Very good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay. A very good morning. Good morning to Dr. Sanjay Kalekarji, Joint Director Extension Training from Government of India.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy, Director EEI, Dr. Praveen Kumar, and dear participants of the webinar, and the today's speaker who has come over, taken pains to share his expertise with the group, especially this particular trading program, the carbon trading. So this has become a buzzword for the past 2-3 years, but none of us have a clear-cut idea of what happens during this carbon trading. So how it actually takes place, how it is related to agriculture, and how the farming community of India can get benefited from this carbon trading, and how directly and indirectly it benefits the soil, the Mother Earth, as well as the environment. The environmental concerns are now need of the hour. So how best we can now get into this particular business? How can we involve farmers? So for that, basically, a very good initiative has been taken by Extension Education Institute in this regard, because majority of the stakeholders are not aware of exactly what is their role, what is their stake in this process of carbon trading, and what is expected of them. what is the optimal performance from each stakeholder expected of him or her, and how to facilitate the entire process of carbon trading in the interest of our nation as well as the entire world. Now, in that regard, we all know that agriculture and allied sector, unlike other sectors, our sector, it involves many stakeholders, many value chain partners, many supply chain partners from farm gate to fork. Okay, so now these many stakeholders need to have a common understanding of what is expected of them if they want to make the agriculture sector go ahead in the carbon trade. So for this at this particular juncture, the role of extension officers, especially the middle level extension officers and the students and faculty of extension, it is very essential for all of us to have a thorough understanding and comprehension about carbon trading. So we all have heard, we all have studied, especially the applied science people and the basic science people who deal with climatology and who deal with environment and agronomists. So they all know to little extent with regard to this carbon trading. But others, I feel, still we are in a what you call nascent stage of getting aware about it. Now, we are all talking about, we know what is happening in the country, continuous monocropping and what you call indiscriminate use of chemicals, both fertilizers as well as pesticides, and ineffective and inefficient use of water. In some places, very heavy usage, in some places, no availability of water. So all these things are, one way or the other, they are having a very, very hazardous impact on the environment and more so on the mankind in the universe. So the nature's existence and it's what you call routine functioning of the nature is getting disturbed because of human interventions which are being made for a quite long period of time. Now we want to again what you call come over and see how best we can reduce this what you call a hazardous impact to the environment. One such effort is, unless and until we make this process of what you call improving the soil health and as well as greenhouse gas emissions into the environment, which simply we say teach people or conduct programs, organize programs, tell them to do it. So nobody will go ahead. Now, for whatever they do, if there is some indirect benefit or a direct benefit to the farming community, then definitely we can think of these things to what you call take place in a more quicker manner. So there where this what you call activity of carbon trading has come, and already some of the private sector organizations, they are handling with some of the FPOs, and they are trying to encourage the farming community to take up the good agricultural practices so that the soil health is maintained, and accordingly with the improvement of what you call the soil health status, they can enter into the trading. Now this is happening to certain extent, but here also what happens is there are many middlemen and many players in between. So do exactly farmer get whatever the benefit he is due for in the process of carbon trading? So there where the role of all the extension officers come in. Do farmers not only getting benefited with regard to their microclimate in their farm and microenvironment in their farm, are they going to get any incentive in a what you call justifiable manner are they getting? So these issues are also because what happens is unless and until farming is made profitable, now you all know most of the surveys that have been conducted, they are indicating that our National Sample Survey Organization, so 45 to 50% of the farming community given a chance, they are ready to leave the agriculture. So now, even if new aspects and issues and challenges come like this, if farmers do not get benefited in a proper manner, in an appropriate manner, in an effective manner, or in a profitable manner, in this process of carbon trading, I don't think we can promote this particular aspect on a large scale. So we all need to have a very what you call thorough comprehensive understanding of all these things. Tell the farmers about the direct and indirect benefits of involving in practicing the good agricultural practices that are required to be done if you want to initiate carbon trading from your farm. So now really I appreciate the efforts of EEI, and I thank the Government of India for giving us the opportunity to conduct this sort of webinars, which are very, very essential for the middle level officers. And I'm very happy seeing the participation from across the country. I think the participation is touching 100. Very good. And I expect this particular webinar is going to have lot of what you call impact, and then lot of it will definitely persuade the extension officers to include this particular aspect also in their day-to-day extension activities that they are conducting, and promote the good agricultural practices that are required for carbon trading. So I thank Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy in this regard for giving me this opportunity to interact with the with all the students, and then middle level agricultural officers and the faculty from across the country. So wishing you all good luck, and let us all together converge and facilitate the carbon trading in a most effective manner with the help of all the stakeholders in our jurisdiction. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Dr. V. Sudharani, madam, Director of Extension, for giving importance of carbon trading and for implementation of good agriculture practices, and how the agriculture officers and departments should be aware for making the farmers to implement good practices. Thank you very much, madam. And now I request Shri Sanjay Kalekar, Joint Director, Extension Training, Director of Directorate of Extension, Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Government of India, New Delhi. Request you, sir, to give your introductory remarks on this carbon trading in agri and allied sectors.
Good morning. Am I audible now?
Yeah, sir, you are audible. You are very clear.
Good morning. Respected Sudharani madam, Dr. Jagan Mohan Reddy sir, two speakers, Dr. Aniruddha Eni and Dr. G.V. Ramanujan. I am very thankful to EI Hyderabad that they have selected this is one of the important topic. And I am seeing that more than 95 participants have joined this webinar. This is one of the important topic, and in everywhere we are seeing the problem in the world, climate change and its effect on the agriculture. Whole world is suffering from the climate change, and everywhere we are seeing this natural calamities problem. Last 1 month, whole world is facing this problem. Now, the topic of carbon credit is very important as it relates to agriculture, community, the whole world. For conservation of natural resources, as you all are aware, that unless and until the natural resources are conserved, we cannot live peacefully. The resources like soil, water, vegetation and energy. So one of the natural resources is that vegetation. And the current topic is related to the carbon trading and how it is beneficial to the community and even to the farmers. As all of the extension workers who have joined this webinar, including me, this topic is very new and we are not that aware how this carbon credit is helpful to the community and as well as the farmer. So, not getting much time, I am very thankful again to Dr. Jagannath Reddy and all the participants who have joined this one of the important topic. And we will hear the two speakers so as to our knowledge will be strengthened and we will act accordingly in the field. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Shri Sanjay Kalikar, sir, for focusing on how the effect of climate change affecting the total world and what are the consequences, how the carbon trading will be the beneficial. Thank you very much, sir. And now I request Dr. G. Ramanjanelu. Sir, are you there on board?
Is it audible? Hello? Are we audible from our side?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I think Ramanujan sir is on the way. He is getting ready.
Sir, Ramanjanelu, sir is a Dr. V. Ramanjanelu.
Sir, are you there? He has joined. There is some technical issue.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to this program, sir, webinar, carbon trading in agri and allied sector. Sir,
Ramanjanelu garu.
Namaskaram andi.
Namaskaram.
Sir is an executive director for Center for Sustainable Agriculture, Tarnaka, Hyderabad. Now, sir is ready to take the session on carbon trading in agri and allied sectors. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just adding my PowerPoint slides. Yeah. Can you see the presentation?
Sir.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir. It is clear. Please keep in slideshow mode, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it is in slideshow mode only.
Okay.
Here it is in slideshow mode. I don't know.
Hello.
Okay, one second.
Sir. Sir,
Yes. One second. Seems to be some difficulty in this presentation. Yeah. Good morning. I'm Ramanjanelu. I work with Center for Sustainable Agriculture and Krishna Sudha Academy for Agroecology. We have a new center which is working on this as an agricultural research institution. Today we'll be sharing about the carbon financing as ecosystem service payments as part of the whole adaptation to climate change. And as all of you know, the greenhouse gas greenhouse effect on agriculture is increasing, and the current climate change problem which we are seeing is because of the layer which is formed around the earth with the greenhouse gases. So the carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and several other gases which contribute for the climate change. So all these form into a layer around the sun and layer around the earth and prevent the radiation coming from the earth to go back into the atmosphere. So when the radiation is prevented, earth gets warmed up, and the effect of that is seen as a climate change. So the global warming is largely caused because of the greenhouse gases which are emitted from various operations which we all do as human beings. So it could be because of the burning of fossil fuels, your vehicles, energy production, and all those things, including the fertilizer production. So burning of fossil fuels is one of the main reasons. Second is the agricultural practices, whether it is about chemical fertilizer use, water stagnation, or because of the frequent cultivation where carbon dioxide is emitted, or the fermentation which happens, anaerobic fermentation which happens due to composting process, or the animal body. So we call it as anaerobic fermentation in the soils, or the animal ruminants body. So all these lead to production of various greenhouse gases. And third is the deforestation. When we cut the trees, a lot of carbon dioxide is also emitted into the atmosphere because the trees which have stored the carbon will also be left out. And that increases the risk. So when we talk about carbon trading, or when we talk about the risk with climate, we need to look at climate as a normal variability, which naturally happens. So we have heavy rains at certain times, low rains at certain times. So there's a natural variability in the atmosphere. The natural variability in the atmosphere is enhanced with the anthropogenic climate change. So if you are enhancing it by adding on more of greenhouse gas emissions, then the vulnerability increases.
Excuse me, sir.
So that is the problem.
Ramanjan, sir. Excuse me. Is there any possibility to improve your audio? Audio is breaking. Is there any possibility? If at all.
I will try.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll try it. It's because I'm in a farm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. If at all, if there is any chance.
Sorry.
Otherwise, the slides are...
I'll try. I'll remove the Bluetooth.
Okay.
I'll remove the Bluetooth and then I'll try to...
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah. Continue, sir.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah. So when we talk about climate change, we need to look at what is the natural variability in the climate, which is already happening, and which is enhanced by the anthropogenic climate change, contributing factors like the greenhouse gas emissions. So these emissions will further increase the risk. So while the risk is same for everyone, the exposure and the hazards changes with the vulnerability. Each one of us may have a different vulnerability, and the impacts of this climate change varies with the socio-economic conditions of the people and the environmental conditions of the farm where it is located. So I think that is something which we also need to understand, the difference, the vulnerability of the agricultural situation and the socio-economic condition of the farmers. These two impact on the vulnerability, and that's a risk which we need to understand. So to reduce the risk, what we can do and then how that can be compensated through various means and measures is what we are trying to look at. So if we try to understand the climate change, agriculture contributes to nearly
20% of the total greenhouse gas emissions. While agriculture is also getting affected by climate change, agriculture also contributes significantly to the climate change. And within that, methane and nitrous oxide emissions are largely from agriculture alone. So methane emissions are 78%, nitrous oxide emissions are 84%. These two are the highest emissions coming from agriculture, and they impact on agriculture. And if you look at the total greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, if we take as one unit which impacts on the global warming, if carbon dioxide is seen as 1, the methane is 28 times more dangerous. So it's a carbon equivalent is 28. So 1 ton of methane emission is equal to nearly 28 tons. Similarly, nitrous oxide, which comes out when we are applying urea and other nitrogenous fertilizers, is 310 times potentially more dangerous. So 310 times more dangerous than carbon dioxide. So when we are actually measuring the carbon credits or carbon equivalents, we consider carbon as 1, carbon dioxide as 1 unit, and nitrous oxide as 310 and methane as 28. So which means if there is 1 ton of methane emissions, it is equivalent to 28 tons of carbon dioxide. If there is 1 ton of nitrous oxide emitted, it is 310 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. That's how it is calculated. Because these calculations are very important when we actually look at calculating the total problem created and the total credits which can be acquired. And when we talk about carbon emissions, there is also 3 different kinds of emissions which we need to understand. One is called scope 1. Scope 1 means which are directly emitted by the agency whose credits are, whose carbon emissions are assessed. Say for example, if you are looking at a retail food retail company, like say for example, if you are taking Britannia makes biscuits. So if you are looking at carbon emissions of Britannia, we measure scope 1 emissions of Britannia company. So when they are making the biscuits, the amount of energy they have used, and then the amount of water they use, all this put together are the emissions of the company. Whereas scope 2 emissions are the raw material which they use. So for example, if they are using milk, or if they are using rice, or if they are using wheat, whatever emissions are there in production of such material, raw material, they are all considered as a scope 2. Scope 3 is indirect emissions. Say for example, and which is not in the hand of the company. Say for example, Britannia may produce biscuits, but the biscuits are transported to supermarket. Supermarket may sell everything in an AC shelf, so that air conditioner in the shelf, they are all considered as the scope 3. So when we are talking about carbon trading, mostly companies are responsible to cut down on the scope 1, and if possible scope 2. Scope 3 is very difficult for them to cut down. So scope 1 they need to cut down on their own. Scope 2 is not in their hands, so they support people to make conversion. So for example, if there is a Britannia company which is selling the biscuits, they should cut down the emissions from the wheat. Then only their biscuits emission, the emissions which are coming from the biscuits which they make will come down. So that's how the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions are calculated. So when it comes to the farming, mostly for a food company, it is the scope 2 emissions which are calculated. So when we are talking about climate risk management, there are 2 strategies. One strategy is a mitigation. Mitigation means how much we reduce the emissions, So the reduction of chemical fertilizer use, pesticide use, so the whole chemicals, how much we can reduce, how much we can reduce the water use in agriculture, how much we reduce the deforestation, and how much we can reduce the energy use. So all these forms under the mitigation strategies. Whereas there are adaptation strategies where we can increase the diversity of the farming. So adaptation strategies are to build the resilience in farming so that farmers can adapt to the changing climate. Whereas mitigation is reducing the emissions from agriculture. So both have its own effects, and both can be calculated easily. So I think that's what we need to understand when we talk about both. So with that background, let's talk about carbon financing. So carbon financing is one of the innovative funding tool that creates a financial value for the emissions. So if you are doing more of emissions, then any emission can be quantified, and if you cannot reduce your emissions, you can compensate it by supporting other person who is reducing the emissions. So it's like someone who is reducing the emissions can trade that with someone who is actually doing more. So that's what is the carbon financing all about. So the emissions are measured in terms of carbon dioxide equivalent. Like I mentioned earlier, so 1 ton of methane is considered as 28 tons of carbon equivalent, and 1 ton of nitrous oxide is considered 310 carbon dioxide equivalents. So 1 carbon credit means 1 ton of carbon dioxide. 1 carbon credit is 1 ton of carbon dioxide removed from the atmosphere or avoided from emission. So that's what is the carbon financing. And how does it operate in the market? I think that is another very important thing we need to understand. So there are 2 ways. One is called as a voluntary market. Voluntary market is it is available. So I have as a farmer I have reduced it, or as a factory I have reduced it, or as a industry I want credit, so they can buy from farmers or someone who is growing trees, etc. So they can do that. So this is called voluntary market, and voluntary market is private and it is between the players. So there is no regulation on that from the government side. And in the voluntary market there are two major agencies which set the standards. One is called as a VERA. VERA is one agency which sets the standards. So if you are growing trees, if you are increasing the soil organic carbon, how do you measure it? And to measure it, there is a standards which are set. So one is called VERA standards. Second is called gold standards. There is another standard called gold standards. Recently, IRA has come up with a set of standards under gold standards for SRI, AWD, and dry paddy, where methane emissions can be reduced. Like that, there are a number of protocols which are developed, which are under the voluntary market. Second is the compliance market. Compliance is the government imposed rules and regulations where you need to cut down, and there is no escape from that. So it's a government regulation which comes into picture. That's the compliance market. And how does this operate in the market? So there could be green credits which are generated. Like I mentioned, if you are reducing carbon dioxide emissions by 1 ton, it is considered as 1 credit. If you are reducing nitrous oxide emissions by 1 ton, it is considered as 310 tons of carbon equivalent. So 310 carbon credits. So like that. So we can calculate the credits. Second is the company can issue bonds where say a farmer cooperative or a farmer group or an agency working with farmers can enter into an agreement saying in the next 10 years I am going to reduce the emissions by so much. So we can also enter into such agreements, and we can also look at carbon sequestration. Say agriculture is one of the major area where you can sequester carbon also. So from the atmosphere, carbon it can be sequestrated in the plants or in the soil. So that also we can convert into credits. Second is the carbon taxes. We'll see how carbon taxes operate. So if the companies cannot reduce the emissions, they'll be taxed. So that's the carbon tax. The third is there's a combination of cap and trading systems, means any company has to reduce it by such a percentage, and if it is inevitable to use that kind of fuel and then there is an emission, then that can be quantified and they can pay to someone to buy the credits. So that's what is the trading system about. So there are 3 different models here. For example, relevant ones for agriculture, if you want to look at, most important is the chemical fertilizer. Say we are using huge quantities of chemical fertilizers, and the fertilizers on one hand has a large amount of subsidy which is involved. So the subsidy component, if you are looking at today, it is around 2.25 lakh crores, and in the fertilizers, in the total fertilizers which are used, nearly 70% are only nitrogenous fertilizers, either urea or ammonium diammonium phosphate, DAP. And ideally 4:2:1 is supposed to be the NPK ratio, and it may vary slightly depending on the situation. But in states like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, there's a heavy high nitrogen use. So 4:2:1 has become nearly 35:8:1. That's the situation today in some of the states. And in addition to the fertilizer subsidy, the biggest worry is the declining crop response ratio. The fertilizer use efficiency is only about 15% today, nitrogen fertilizer use, and rest of it goes as nitrate into the water or emitted into the atmosphere as a nitrous oxide, and that's a significantly potential dangerous gas which is creating the climate change. So reducing it becomes very important. So to understand declining fertilizer crop ratio, response ratio, in 1970s, for every kg of NPK we used to get about 13.4 kg of grains. And today, for every kg of NPK, we are getting less than 3.7 kg of grain. So to get the same level of yield, we have to increase the usage of nitrogenous fertilizer. That's what it means when we are talking about declining the fertilizer crop response ratio. And also with the reduced usage of farmyard manure, organic manures in the soil organic carbon is also coming down significantly, and you can see across the states the soil organic carbon status. Many states, particularly the states which we consider as progressive like Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, all these states have very high level of very high area which is having very low organic carbon content. Very low organic carbon content is in 80% of the soils, whereas in states like Meghalaya, Nagaland, Sikkim has a high soil organic carbon, very high soil organic carbon. So that's the variance. And soil organic carbon is one of the measures to measure the organic matter in the soil, because the soil organic matter contributes for the water holding capacity, also contributes for the soil structure, and it also holds it also supplies many mineral matter. The organic matter supplies many of the nutrients. In addition, the atmospheric carbon dioxide can be fixed into the soil as organic carbon, and this is more stable. And soil organic carbon sequestration can be measured, and it can be measured by various means. It could be measured using satellite maps, it can be measured by soil testing, and once this can be quantified, this also can be traded in the market. And here I took some examples and then tried to explain how it works. So for example, for every 1 kg of nitrogenous fertilizer we are using, there are 4 kg of carbon dioxide emissions which comes in. So for every 100 kg of nitrogen fertilizer, it releases 1.2 kg of nitrous oxide. 1.2 kg of nitrous oxide is equal to nearly 350 kg of carbon dioxide equivalent. Like I mentioned earlier, ratio. So based on that ratio, that's what will happen. So nearly about 4 kg, 3.5 to 4 kg equivalent of carbon emissions are there for every kg of nitrogenous fertilizer we are using in the soil. And similarly, in the paddy, when we are actually having water stagnation, the organic matter which is decomposing in the soil emits methane. So the methane and nitrous oxide put together, the total emissions are nearly 100 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per acre of paddy. I think that's the significant number. We need to look at 10 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per acre in the paddy. So 19% of the GHG emissions from agriculture are 19% of the GHG emissions are from agriculture in India, and in that nearly 20% are from rice cultivation alone. And another 2% comes from the biomass burning. So when the paddy stubbles are cut in Punjab, Haryana, we see burning also. So that also contributes significantly for the greenhouse gas emissions. So to let you understand the seriousness of the problem, in India we have about 115 million hectares under paddy. Million acres, this is not hectares, million acres. So 115 million acres under paddy, and if you calculate 10 tons per acre, it comes to about 1.15 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions. 1.15 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. And to have a comparative picture, this is equivalent to nearly 255 million cars driving for 1 year. The amount of emissions coming from 255 million cars driven for 1 year. And in India we have about 0.7 million cars only, which means imagine how many number of cars, if they have driven for 1 year, the amount of pollution is caused by just paddy production in India alone. That's one of the reasons we need to be worried about it, and then reduce the emissions from paddy production. And this can be done by reducing water usage, reducing the chemical fertilizer usage. If these two can be done, the methane emissions and nitrous oxide emissions can be cut off. And we often feel by growing more trees, we can increase the sustainability, and then we can remove the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. But to remove the emissions from paddy production, that 1.15 billion tons of carbon equivalent emissions from atmosphere, you need nearly about 19 billion trees grown for 10 years. And you can imagine how much that means, and then how much area under forest it comes to. It would be nearly about 1.5 times the Indian current forest area. So it is not going to happen as well. So cutting down on the production itself is one of the major solutions. So we need to cut down on the water usage, energy usage, and chemical fertilizer usage in agriculture. And to do that, we need to have a comprehensive approach in terms of water and moisture management, moving towards adaptive cropping systems which are suitable for the growing conditions. So instead of growing rice everywhere, can we grow only rice in areas where there is water stagnation? In other area, can we grow rice without much water? And even if we are growing rice, can we grow using practices like SRI, AWD kind of thing? And we also need to adopt soil management, sustainable soil management, where we can use effective use of recycling of nutrients through organic manures, and cut down on the chemical fertilizer use, significantly cut down on the nitrogenous fertilizer use. Have better quality seeds which adapt to the local conditions, and similarly chemicals in spraying for pest and disease management, and integrating livestock with agriculture so that there is an effective recycling system. I think putting all these systems together is what we call as an agroecology, and which needs also forward and backward linkages. And coming to the carbon credits per se, there are different areas where carbon get fixed. One is the above ground biomass, which can be in the stems, bark, and leaves, and below ground biomass, roots, and all of all sizes, and deadwood, which is the falling stems and falling trunks, etc., and litter, which is the green leaf which is falling and drying, and the soil organic carbon. And soil organic carbon is the most stable one because it gets fixed into the soil. Above 4 gets decomposed, and that can also be added into the soil. So what are you going to measure, and then what you are trading is something we need to decide. And first we can look at soil organic carbon. I think that's a major one because the increasing soil organic carbon, there's a potential and it is more stable, so that can be measured easily, because all other things measuring becomes very difficult. So in the soil organic carbon, the way we estimate is that farmers are trained with the best agricultural practices to increase the soil organic carbon through farmer field schools, training and advisory services. We maintain the data of the farmers, and based on that, the soil organic carbon can be estimated either by field testing or by satellite imagery. And from there, they are sold into the voluntary carbon market. So to do this activity, say CSA is working at the field level, we mobilize farmers to adopt these practices. We also mobilize farmers to adopt agroforestry and various other practices like dry paddy, etc. So all these either mitigate carbon emissions or increase the soil organic carbon fixation. And we tie up with the agencies, and then one of the agencies is going to talk to you as well. And these agencies will do the field inspection, whether we are falling in line with the international standards. They're either set by gold standards or set by Vera, and they trade it, help us in trading with the company. So that's the model of the carbon market. And currently, the estimation shows that one carbon credit is equal to about $10. And in that, farmers may get about 55%, 55% may go to the farmer. And how much we can actually sequester? If you look at from that, 0.1% increase in soil organic carbon leads to a sequestration of 2.9 tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So in an acre, every year, if you have 0.1% increase, so if you're starting from very low soil organic carbon condition, and if you're increasing every year by 0.1%, every year you can get about 3 tons, 3 credits. So 3 tons increase would be there every year, and you get about 3 credits, which is equal to about $30. And this is what we are working on. So approximately we are able to generate about 0.1% increase every year. So we are doing it for the last, we are measuring for the last couple of years, though we are working on organic farming for a long year. And we are also working on agroforestry, where trees are the agroforestry, where we are also able to measure how much carbon is fixed through the agroforestry models. And similarly, managing wetlands and managing the livestock and water and nutrient management, all these can be measured, and all these can be measured and then traded in the market. And this is what we also tried out in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, where the mitigation potential was estimated by switching from conventional agriculture to organic and natural farming. So in paddy, we can reduce the emissions by about 42%. In wheat, we can reduce by about 23%. In groundnut, there is a scope to reduce it by 41%, tomato about 41%, and nearly in papaya, it is nearly about 38%. So that's a scope where we can reduce the emissions by switching over from conventional to organic production. So the whole idea of ecosystem services is, currently farmers' income comes from price into yield equal to income. And the new model is income is a function of not only the yield and price, but we can add on green credits, either by water conservation, ecological farming practices, or carbon sequestration. And in addition, with the direct benefit transfer, like what we are having in Telangana as the Raitu Bandhu, or Raitu Bharosa in Andhra Pradesh, or Kalia in Odisha, or Nyay in Chhattisgarh. Like that, every state has its own direct income support measures. So there could be various ways farmers' income can come in. So the old model of price into yield is equal to income is gone. Now the price and yield can be compensated by other means of income sources by adopting some of the best practices. So one of the new innovation which Government of India just started is called PM Pranam, in which it is called the PM Pranam, means promotion of alternative nutrients for agricultural management Yojana, in which if any state is reducing the chemical fertilizer use, particularly the nitrogenous fertilizer use, the amount of subsidy which is saved, 50% of it is given to the state, and state can use 70% of it for the programs, and 30% can go to the farmers or to the village which has reduced the fertilizer use. So this is the new scheme which has been launched, and it is built on the existing savings on the fertilizer subsidy. And very interesting part is the amount of subsidy which can be saved is huge. So for example, every bag of urea which is sold in the market, today farmers buy at around 250 or 260 rupees. But the fertilizer subsidy is nearly 85%. So around 2,500 rupees would be the subsidy on the every bag of nitrogenous fertilizer. So if 50% is given back to the state. So every 1 bag of urea saved or not used, state will get about 1200 rupees. So in the 1200 rupees, state can keep around 70%, rest of it can be passed on to the farmer. So that's the model which is now set up under PM Pranam, and this is under implementation from this year, and this requires a good data management to know which farmer has reduced, which district has reduced, which state has reduced, so that the data can be submitted and then the payments can be taken from the center, and the state can pass on the benefits to the end user. And another new program Government of India has launched this year, it is called Green Credits. This is in addition to the carbon. In addition to the carbon, if you are reducing, if you are increasing the tree cover, if you are reducing water use, and if you are harvesting water, and if you are able to do the good waste management, and if you are able to reduce the pollution, and if you are able to conserve wetlands, and all these can be quantified, and private industry can compensate for that. So currently there is no incentives for doing any of these things for the industry. So these can be used as green credits, and they can trade it with whenever industry is supposed to show that they are environmental friendly. So these products, these activities can be shown under their activities, and then that can be quantified. And the people who are involved in these practices and who produce a product can also use EcoMark label on their product, and then they can sell in the market saying these are green products which are produced. And similarly, there is also support for sustainable building and infrastructure. So these are the 8 different initiatives which are now available under Green Credits program. So put together, this is the broad framework of the carbon trading in this country. And if you have any doubts on any of these things, I can clarify. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you for hearing patiently about this. This is the Krishna Sudha Academy, which I was talking about. This is an academy on agroecology. If any one of you want to learn about organic and natural farming, you can come here. This is near Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh. This is a 38 acres campus where all the models which I talked about on organic and natural farming, water harvesting, or multiple cropping systems, all are available in one place. These are spread over 38 acres, and then there's a stay facility for about 100 people. Any one of you are interested, you can check our websites for more courses which we are offering, or the visits if you want to make. Thank you very much.
Okay. Participants, if you have any doubts, please interact with
So can we open up for discussion?
Hello, sir. Hello, am I audible?
Hello.
You are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, sir, thank you for the
I'm unable to hear. Is there anyone speaking?
Yes, I am. Is my voice audible?
Yes, it is audible. Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you, sir, for the insightful session. It's really amazing. I just know one thing, that if in India, if one farmer want to earn from carbon credit, so what the practices they need to follow, and in
Hello?
1 acre.
Is there anyone speaking? I am unable to hear.
Hello, sir. Am I audible to you, Ramanjan sir? Hello, I think you have de-linked audio, sir. Yeah, Mr. Rai, please bear with us. I think some.
Sure, sure.
Sir, is it clear now? Ramanjan sir.
Jaganmohan Reddy garu, call him once and tell increase the volume.
Yeah, Mr. Rai, please be online. There is some audio problem.
Sure, no problem.
మీ మాటలు మాటలేమి అదే నాకు మీ మాటలు వినిపించట్లేదండి. ఇప్పటిదాకా నా ప్రజెంటేషన్ వినిపించిందా? నాకు మాటలు వినిపించట్లేదు. ఒక పని చేస్తాను నేను ఐ ఓపెన్ ద సేమ్ ఆన్ మై మొబైల్.
ಒಂದಿಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮವರು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ನಾಗ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊ ಬೇರೆ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡತ್ತೀನಿ.
Hello, can I take a call? Can I call a question?
Yeah, he is joining. Dr. Ramanjali is joining from other device. He has got some problem.
Some problem with the
Yeah, maybe
audio.
Few seconds. Audio problem.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೆಳೆ ಹಾನಿಗೆ ಇದು ಮಾಹಿತಿ 1 to 5 ಏನೋ ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟ್ ಅದ ಅಂತ ನೋಡು.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, it is okay, sir, now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Roy, please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for the insightful session. It was really amazing. I just want to know, if I search in YouTube the organic agriculture practices, I receive many of the videos. So I am getting confused to adapt. So is there anything that from there I can really grow my carbon content in my soil so that I can earn some carbon credit? And in India, how much amount can a farmer can earn from carbon credit? You say that $10. For $10 from which amount of land? Because I have seen many of the international thing that there are also a carbon calculator. Okay, so if I put everything, they just calculate everything. But this is totally different from India, I guess. So
No.
I just want to know what is the quantitative aptitude of this.
Right. So in terms of practices, there are a number of practices which you can adopt. Increasing soil organic matter contributes for increasing the soil organic carbon. There is no second way. So it could be through compost, it could be through growing multiple crops, it could be growing cover crops. So a number of practices are there. And we run a website called ekrishi.in. You can check all the practices, best practices available, ekrishi.in, and there's a sustainable agriculture practices list where you can check the practices if you want. That's one thing. Second, see, for every 0.1% increase in soil organic carbon per acre, if there is a 0.1% increase per acre, that is equivalent to nearly 3 tons of soil organic carbon sequestrated, carbon dioxide sequestrated. And this is an approximation because it changes with soil type, it changes with local conditions. Approximately it will be around 3, which means if you are located in, say, West Bengal, and if your soil organic carbon increase in 1 year is 0.1%, this can be considered, this would be equal to 3 tons of carbon equivalent. So 3 credits you will get. Per credit it is around $10. So 3 credits will get you $30. So that's the calculation. Okay. And if you are also trading for mitigation, so you are reducing fertilizer use and water use, so that also can be quantified. So that's a different measure. So if you are reducing fertilizer use by, say, today you are using 10 bags of urea, and tomorrow you have reduced it by all 10, or you might have to reduce it by 8. So accordingly, that also can be quantified. And similarly, if it is a wetland, it's a different calculation. And if it is a dry land where you are putting in water and reducing water, earlier you are putting water, but now you are reducing water usage, will be different calculation. So like that. So each one of it would be a separate calculation. So approximately it could be around $30-35 per acre per year. So approximately it could vary depending on the situation. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Yeah, next one, please.
Yeah, I have a question. My name is Dr. Ganapati Arumugam from Coimbatore. I'm running a biofuel company. I'm an ex-ICAR scientist. So we have big interest on carbon, and we started the biodiesel project in 2002. And hello?
Yeah, please, others mute.
Okay. My question is, in rice, paddy, when we bring down the like methane emission, maybe through SRI or AWD technologies, is that any? See, we are working with a company called Compass Carbon. They are from America. They're one of the largest carbon auditing certification trading company. So they are asking the guidelines from India so that they can verify or they can certify the methodology to whom we can contact, sir.
So if you go to the website Gold Standards.
Yeah.
Gold Standards.
Yeah, I know Gold Standard. Yeah.
In the Gold Standards, there is a methodology which is released only last month.
Oh, that is for rice cultivation?
That's for rice cultivation, yes.
In Gold Standard, okay. How about the other crops? Like actually, I am one of the speaker in IC, that International Coconut Committee in Jakarta by October. Do you have any good literatures or good publications how to how to estimate or how to get a carbon credit for coconut crop? Because being India is the third largest coconut growing country, we can work out.
No, currently it is not available. See, currently what we can do is we can always talk about sequestration, which can be done in the soil. But specific to crop, if you have to calculate, we need to calculate the total amount, no? So total biomass produced in a year, and then how that biomass is processed, and all that we need to calculate. So I don't think there is any standard which is available for coconut as of now. You can only use the generic standards.
Okay, I got a couple of questions. I request the organizer to bear with me. I was with the director of Rice Research Institute, Hyderabad, 2 days ago, and we discussed a lot. And he is basically a breeder and a biotechnologist. So he says we are talking about the reduction of methane emission through alternative wet and dry method or through other methodology, but we are not bothering about the biomass produced. There are two biomass, what with the straw, then also nowadays we are using a machine. So we are not harvesting the straw fully. We leave maybe 2-3 inches. So he would like to measure those biomass also, because that is get converted into soil organic carbon, as you said, it may increase soil organic carbon matter. So we should have some methodology to measure that also, sir.
That is there. That is already available. So that's what I said. So one is the mitigation credits, other is the sequestration credits. Both can be traded.
Okay. Then another one last question. When we apply, let us say we are giving the azolla, or if we grow the crop rotation, or 2 paddy, 1 fallow, pulses, or any other crop, when we grow pulses, the pulses also they absorb the the nitrogen from the atmosphere and fix it in the root nodules, being a leguminous family. Do we get a credit for that also?
Yes, the amount of reduction in the nitrous oxide emissions, so amount of fertilizer reduction we can quantify, and not for nitrogen fixation.
Yeah, no, not nitrogen fixation, amount of amount of ammonia absorbed.
Not amount of ammonia absorbed, amount of fertilizer use reduced.
How about the our leguminous family, they fix atmospheric nitrogen. Do we get any credit for that?
No.
Okay. Okay.
As of now, it is not there. Yeah.
But what is your opinion? So somebody can work on that, right?
Somebody can work on it. So somebody can work on in terms of how much nitrous oxide emissions can be reduced by growing pulses. So they can actually work on it. So we can quantify that part. So overall, how much nitrogen is fixed and how much emissions are cut down. And so that can be done. Because see, what happens is, if you are looking at carbon sequestration, we are removing carbon dioxide.
Correct.
Right? Whereas when you are actually fixing nitrogen, you are actually taking the pure nitrogen from the soil. It's not the nitrous oxide which is absorbed.
Yeah.
So you are not reducing any greenhouse gas emissions there.
So it comes under the greenhouse gas emission reduction when we take out the nitrogen, right?
It comes under the greenhouse gas emission reduction, not under the greenhouse gas emission sequestration.
Okay, thank you. The last question, sir. Now I have seen in see, I travel a lot abroad. I have seen in Muscat, Oman, there are a lot of dry well, so they take out the CO2 and dumping inside the dry well and seal it. Is it a right practice, or maybe a layman point of view? One day the carbon will go somewhere and it come back to the atmosphere. Is that right, sir?
No,
You
tell me
got my
again.
point? Okay, country like
No.
Oman, they are taking out the carbon dioxide from the chimney, whatever it is. They're pumping it into the dry well and seal it. Is it a right practice?
No, that is dangerous. So gas trapped in the soil also is dangerous. Yeah, unless you convert it into some product and then fix it. You're not fixing it. No gas, you're not fixing it. Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
So what they are telling, sir, they are telling the carbon slowly will go, and the lime rock will absorb it, get converted into carbon dioxide. I don't think it's going to happen. So we had a big argument.
Calcium.
Yeah.
No, if there is a more of calcium, calcium can absorb carbonate, carbon dioxide, and then can become calcium carbonate. So limestone can form, but it's not a quick process, right? It takes time, and also that can change the soil pH, and then many other factors may come into picture. Need to figure out that part.
Okay, but our technologies are we take out the CO2 from the chimney, clean it up, then we pump it into algae. So algae will consume the carbon dioxide and give you valuable product. That's what we are working as a part of.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I took much of your time. Thanks to the organizers. And one request to the organizers, if we can share the telephone numbers and the email IDs of the participants, that will be a big job. And we really appreciate the Ministry of Agriculture and other team, who are really, my scientists are telling it's very, very informative, like a Zoom meeting. Whatever we attended in a very short notice and very short time. I really appreciate the very good and very nice information. Thank you so much for the organizer and the speakers also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ganapathy Garu. As I think there will be a few more questions. I request Dr. Ramanjal Garu, please be available for another half an hour. So till the completion of the next presentation by you, the next speaker is ready. So that, or else you can join after half an hour, sir. Ramanjal, sir.
Yeah, I'll join after half an hour, and I gave my contacts here. I'll also send you the presentation as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think if you have any questions, we can continue after the next presentation. Yeah, please, Praveen, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Ramanjali, sir. You have given information on different greenhouse gases, scope of carbon emission, and carbon taxes, and carbon financing, and different aspects. Thank you very much, sir. Now the second speaker is on board. Second speaker, Mr. Anirudh, sir. Anirudh Kenny. Sir is supposed to take session on soil restoration through carbon marketing and financing. Actually, sir is a director for business development and partnership, APAC, Africa, Boom Mitra NGO. Sir is working, and sir is expert in cutting edge technology in agriculture, landscaping, and bachelor in mechanical engineering and masters in environmental studies, and pivotal in creating Biomitra project in India and East Africa. Sir, Anirudh, sir.
Hello, sir. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Praveen, please
Sir,
ensure some Shailendra Biradar, he is continuously on. Please unmute from your side, otherwise.
Shailendra Birajar. Okay, madam.
Yeah, technical team, please, Rajgaru, take care. As ma'am is rightly told, some disturbance is coming. Yeah, please.
Okay, over to you, sir. Anirudh, sir.
Perfect. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity, especially to Dr. Praveen and Dr. Jagannath Reddy for this. So I'm just going to be taking. First of all, I'm Anirudh. As mentioned, I'm heading up business development and partnerships for Bhumitra across Asia Pacific and Africa. We are a end-to-end carbon project developer, and what I'd like to do is take you through various kinds of carbon markets, give you a broad overview, tell you a little bit about the work that we are doing in the soil carbon space. And of course, you know, I would like to keep some time for questions and answers as well. Just 1 second, it is asking me to provide 1 second. I may have to just leave the meeting for 1 second to give permission. So just bear with me for 1 second, please.
Yeah, okay, sir.
I appreciate it. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Just let me. Yeah, and you can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So
Perfectly basic. Yeah.
Perfect, sir. So let me just talk through this once again. Thank you so much for this opportunity today. And of course, we are Bhumitra, and our objective or our goal is to unlock carbon removal on a gigaton level scale, right? We are an end-to-end carbon project developer. So we are all facing the challenges, especially the farmers are facing the challenges of climate change. We have emitted too much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And of course, there is a dire need of removing this carbon dioxide, right? So of course, we have to go towards solar or hydrogen or maybe nuclear energy. But at the same time, we have already exceeded, unfortunately, our carbon budget. And hence, we have to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Soils are a very, very good sink of carbon dioxide of soil through the formation of soil carbon. And of course, Professor Ratan Lal, who is one of the gurus of soil science, he mentions that at least 133 billion tons of soil carbon has been lost since the start of modern agriculture. So there's a huge opportunity to put that back. And at the same time, I mean, it was, I believe, Mr. Ashok Talwai, who's the chairman of the NRAA, or rather, I should say, the CEO of the NRAA, who mentioned that soil carbon stocks in India are down to 0.3%. As a breadbasket of the world, as a very, very strategic food security enabler for the lot of the world, we need to improve our soil carbon levels, create adaptation, while of course improving the livelihoods of the farmers that we, all of us, work with. So yes, this is our mission, is to restore soils globally and of course in India. But it's very, very important for us to work with the communities rather than just, you know, telling them what to do. We want to work with the communities, or rather we should always work with the communities who are the stewards of the land, who will have a very emotional connect with the land. And of course, restoring soils and restoring land has so many other co-benefits through the UN SDGs as well. So let me broadly, and of course this is, let me very broadly tell you about what are the problems today we face in India, right? One of the biggest problem, not the biggest problem, one of the challenges is that the farm sizes are very small, right? So you'll see a little bit into the presentation that we work with more than 100,000 farmers, when all of these farmers are, you know, half acre, 1 acre, 2 acre farmers. And this is the reality of India. Most carbon standards or projects are developed with large land holdings, whether it's in North America or Brazil or Europe or Argentina. Land holdings are large and it's easier to create these kinds of projects. Secondly, of course, there is a lack of transparency of course, information to the farmer. And of course, at the same time, the monitoring, reporting, verification, the MRV, is not only a challenge, it's very, very expensive as well. As I move into my third point, is the fact that if our measurements itself are so expensive, how can we incentivize the farmer itself, right? Because the price of carbon, unfortunately, as of today, may not be $50 or $100, right? So if the cost of a dry combustion soil sampling itself is, let's say, 1,500 to 2,000 rupees, what are we going to incentivize the farmer? So broadly, these are the basic problems that exist today in the context of India, or I would say in the context of a lot of global South countries, right? Now, let me take you through a project cycle. Now, this project cycle has been taken by, I have taken it from the Verified Carbon Standard, but more or less any sort of standard you go with, this will be sort of the way to go, right? There may be certain small subtle changes here and there, but more or less this is the way to enable or to create a project. First is, of course, to choose / develop a methodology, right? We have to follow particular standards which are set in place, these which have been third-party approved. So once we have a methodology of our choosing, then of course we have to onboard the farmers, describe the project in detail in what is known as a project design document, a PDD as they call it, and then of course list the project with the relevant standard that we are working with. After, of course, the listing of the project, then of course we have to validate this project through a third-party auditor. This third-party auditor, in most cases, I would say in all cases across the world today, is a UNFCCC certified carbon auditor, right? So these are folks who have been certified by the UN to account for carbon. Just like you have your financial accountants, these bodies are carbon accountants, right? After the validation of your project description, then we have to verify our emissions. So for example, as Bhumitra, if I'm saying that, oh, there is 2 tons of carbon removal in this farm, right? We have to verify that, whether it's through soil sampling or in our case through remote sensing, whatever it may be, it must be third-party auditable. And then of course, once we have verified this, then you issue the verified carbon unit or the verified carbon credit. At this stage, I would like to introduce a concept, as maybe Ramu sir has very sort of clearly told you, is that we must think of carbon, philosophically, we must think of carbon just like a commodity. So once a farmer across India, specifically in Telangana, if they join a carbon program, they are not only a rice farmer, a cotton farmer, a wheat farmer, a horticulture farmer, they are also a carbon farmer, because this is a commodity which is traded in the open market, right? How is it traded? What are the means of trading today? There are various kinds of markets, or rather I should be more specific and say there are various kinds of carbon markets which are available today. The biggest one, of course, is the compliance market, right? The compliance market is basically a cap and trade kind of a market where companies which are emitting excess greenhouse gases can buy and sell allowances, because the government has put a cap on how much emissions that they can emit, right? There are currently, as you can see on the screen, about 30 compliance markets around the world, and they and of course, I believe, they cover about 20% of all emissions. As you can see here, that this market is worth close to $850 billion in 2021. And I would say it's majorly led historically by the European Union. But as we speak today, China has a very sort of, they have an interesting compliance market. South Korea has a very interesting compliance market. And of course, more compliance market may come into force as we move ahead. Then, of course, there is the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Now, very soon in November, right, all of the countries are going to meet for the Congregation of Parties in Dubai, and Article 6 is going to be the most hot debated topic. So Article 6, broadly what it allows is for cross-country trading of carbon, right? As a very simple example, you may have seen in the news that India is maybe potentially discussing with Japan to trade its carbon with Japan. And this could be for some future facing technologies like green hydrogen or maybe even solar. You know, it depends on what the policy is written. But under Article 6, there are two major, I would say, subpoints, which is Article 6.2 and of course Article 6.4. Article 6.2 is one where two countries come to a mutual agreement through a bilateral treaty, right? India, if I'm not mistaken, is currently, as I mentioned, in talks with Japan as well as South Korea for this kind of an agreement. And through the Article 6.2, we create something known as, just like we mentioned that there is the voluntary verified carbon unit or verified carbon credit, we create something known as an ITMO. ITMO is basically an internationally transferable mitigation outcome, right? So if these treaties go through, maybe India will transport some or sell some carbon to South Korea, that South Korea could potentially count in its nationally determined contributions, right? And then of course there is the Article 6.4, which is basically a centralized mechanism where any country can buy from any other country whenever there is a strategic fit. And of course, this is facilitated by the UNFCCC. So UNFCCC is one of the core bodies, central bodies for enabling this Article 6. And as we move ahead, Article 6 is going to become clearer. And of course, these, just like it is my personal prediction that just like various countries have oil treaties, similarly over the coming future, probably over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to have carbon treaties among countries as well for the commodification of carbon. Then of course, thirdly is the voluntary carbon market. Voluntary carbon market is currently the space that Bhumitra operates in, right? It is a market which had been set up post the I would say post 2008, after the financial crisis, where individuals, corporations, sometimes even governments came and said that, okay, we are going to take climate action through third-party standard bodies which are there. So you can see on the left on the figure that there are some standard bodies such as Verra, Gold Standard, Social Carbon, and there are various project developers which generate the credits and of course transfer that value back to the farmers or whichever kind of project that they are doing. This market has been continuously growing, and last year it was about $2 billion. And as per McKinsey or Bain, whichever consultancy firm which you read from, this market may be worth close to anywhere from $35 billion to about $50 billion by the end of 2030. So basically what we are seeing is that what the trends we are seeing is that the commodification of the carbon, whether it be through compliance markets, whether it be through Article 6, whether it be through the voluntary carbon market, is a very, very interesting, and it's a nascent space right now, but it's going to become very interesting, and it is a major lever to create adaptation especially among our farmers, and of course to improve their livelihoods. Now I'll tell you just a little bit focusing on soil carbon per se, and then a little bit about what Bhumitra does in this space. So carbon farming, right? Carbon farming is a commodity, is a commodification that is taking place by the farmer. And the way to do carbon farming, of course, is to adopt land management practices that go above and beyond what is business as usual, right? we have to go above and beyond what is business as usual. This is known as a concept of additionality in the carbon projects, so that we can sequester carbon dioxide in the soils. And of course, improving soil carbon has so many other co-benefits as well, right? And then of course, leveraging whatever mechanism. I have mentioned the voluntary carbon market here, but in the future, we may leverage Article 6 to incentivize the farmers for adoption of carbon farming. So the idea should be that every rice farmer, every sugarcane farmer, every cotton farmer adopts the next best practice adopts an additional practice which is not business as usual, and gains access to the carbon finance or the carbon markets in general. Various ways of improving soil carbon. I mean, Ramu sir and the CSA team, they are the experts in this. I'm sure I can see a lot of experts on the panel as well. So localized, and this is going to come in later, localized approaches, localized and traditional approaches a lot of times are the most effective as per our data sets, as per our pilots that we've performed across the country. Yes, as I mentioned, we have established over the past 2 years a global hub of carbon removal projects ranging from tens of thousands of acres like grasslands, ranchers who are having tens of thousands of acres of grassland, to farmers in India who are having half an acre of land. So we want to cover the entire spectrum, whether it's the large farmers, large ranchers, small farmers, small ranchers, so that climate action in general becomes more inclusive, right? So that the global south can get can create adaptation through the carbon markets. Specifically with regard to India, we are operational in 14 states. You can see all the way from Jammu and Kashmir to almost the end of Karnataka, and of course till Jharkhand. We are there. In Northeast is the only part of the country we are not present as of today. But once again, a smallholder farmer focus is a big, it's one of the main aspects for us. How we work is, we believe it's a very equitable model. So let us consider like one of our partners who is helping the farmers adopt improved land management practices. I saw, if I'm not mistaken, a gentleman mentioned that maybe the crop residue management could be put back into the soil. Yes, definitely. That's one of the major interventions in our project, is the crop residue management in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, Madhya Pradesh even. So like these practices lead to an improvement or an increase in soil carbon. What Bhumitra does is that we are able to quantify the increases in the first 30 centimeters of the soil using our proprietary remote sensing capabilities and our technology, right? Then of course we go through the entire process, as I had mentioned you, right, in the verified carbon standards. We go through the third-party audits with the standard through a UNFCCC certified carbon auditor, and generate these verified carbon units or third-party certified carbon credits. And of course, we have a trading desk as well, so that we are able to trade this carbon with the end consumer of the credit. Whatever is the monetary value of the credit, majority of that should always, in our case, rather I should say, is always provided back to the farmer, right? It's always provided back to the farmer. But we also provide a very, very healthy percentage of the credit value back to the partner who is working with us, because the capacity building, the knowledge transfer, that is also very, very important. And we want this to be a self-sustainable project. So every time the issuance of the credit happens, the farmer gets the payout, the partner gets the payout as well, so that they can now go and train more farmers, so that they can go and adopt newer and better practices. And of course, all of these, I should mention, everything that we do in the MRV and the trading space, we do not charge the farmers anything for this. I'm going to touch a little bit upon the technology, because technology is extremely important from the monitoring, reporting, and verification space. So we use 100+ satellites across the electromagnetic spectrum to generate very, very location-specific AI models. And the way we see it is that we are using our ability not just to generate soil carbon, but to provide a host of other parameters to the farmer. So as of today, in India, there are more than 10,000 farmers who are seeing the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potassium, the soil moisture, and a couple of other things which will be released over the coming weeks as a part of the ecosystem that we are building with the farmers, because we want the farmers to be with us for the long time. So hence, we are enabling an ecosystem for them at no charge, because you see the carbon finance is going to fund this. So you think about it this way, that they are getting access to capacity building through the partner. They are getting access to data sets which can be turned into actionable insights through the partner. And of course, then they are getting access to the carbon finance. So yeah, once again, NPK, soil moisture, 10-meter resolution, all of these provided as of today to our farmers and our partners, funded by the carbon finance generated. This is a part of the ecosystem that we are building. As I said, like, our partners are key stakeholders, and we work with close to 80 partners across the world. These are only few of them as of today, and of course each and every partner is a champion in their field, bringing very, very localized expertise to the table, and of course developing and building that trust with the farmer. That is invaluable, right? And of course, some of the things that we abide by is, of course, transparency, because this has come under a lot of fire actually, and this is one of the reasons why this is one of the reasons we require carbon markets to work, is that everybody needs to know what transaction has gone on. Currently, there is a lot of people in hushed voices saying this, but in our case, since everything is digital in nature, we are able to provide our farmers, our partners, our buyers with the same set of information to create complete transparency. Having a digital, or I would say DMRV, digital monitoring, reporting, verification, what that does is it gets rid of any chance of financial leakages occurring, right? It creates trust among all of the stakeholders. Very, very important. Then, as per us, majority of the carbon revenue should always go back to the stewards of the land or the landowners, right? That's very important, because it is they who are doing, quote unquote, the carbon farming. Then, of course, inclusivity. As I've mentioned very, very early on, is that we want to work with the 0.5 acre farmer, the 1 acre rancher. We want to bring farmers into the ecosystem rather than exclude them, and then grow this market. And then, of course, third-party certification is also extremely important. So as I mentioned, all of our credits are certified by UNFCCC certified carbon auditors. Some of the accolades that we've received over the past couple of years, one of those been named by the World Economic Forum as one of the top initiatives scaling nature-based solutions. Of course, TGS had recognized as one of the top emerging startups. And of course, the World Food Program has provided us a grant for scaling this in East Africa as well. Finally, these would, as a project developer who speaks with a lot of carbon farmers almost on a daily basis, these would be our key findings and recommendations. One, of course, is the potential. There was a scientific paper, I do want to say about 2 years ago, which mentioned that after North America, India has the maximum potential for soil organic carbon, right? It's close to more than 100 million tons. It's more than it's more than 100 million tons per year. So a lot of potential. We have conducted studies which showcase that issues like crop residue management, or I should say stubble burning, can be solved through the actions of a carbon market as well. Then, of course, it is our belief that community engagement should be central, and it is one of the most important pillars to create a robust and equitable carbon market. So local communities must be kept at the center, traditional knowledge must be kept at the center, and you build around it. We should not tell the farmers as project developers or somebody else, tell the farmers what to do. We have to work with the partners, the other members of the community, to build that capacity over a period of time. Then, of course, policy framework. I know all of us may have heard of the Green Credits Program or India enabling a carbon market, which is in the energy sector as of today. But it is once again our very, very strong suggestion, wherein which we are also working with the Ministry of Environment to say that let's create an enabling framework through Article 6.2, 6.4 of the Paris Agreement, so that there are various avenues to market, right? We should not be only focusing on the voluntary carbon market. No, we have to have all of these strategies in place so that we can get the best possible price of carbon for our farmers, right? So an enabling policy framework is very, very important. Fourthly is the localization of the methodologies. Having, of course, studied a lot of these methodologies and working with a lot of these methodologies today, we can tell you that these mostly are developed in the global north with a mindset of the global north, right? What we need is, we have so many talented professionals in the country. We have the best talent here. Why not create India-specific methodologies? And I'm not saying that we need to reinvent the wheel here, but rather, why not do a study of all methodologies today and say that, okay, this methodology works for India with these minute deviations or these minute changes. We should not reinvent the wheel, because reinventing the wheel may take a lot of time. And unfortunately, I do have to tell you that time is not something all of us have, given that we have already crossed 1.5 degrees. We need adaptation and climate action to happen yesterday, right? And of course, lastly is the capacity building. We must, build capacity in the last mile, whether it's in digital networks, right? Whether it's use of mobile technologies, or very importantly, it's in the enabling of the next best practices. All of these points, of course, are very, very important. But as per me, I would say that, keeping the community and the capacity building at the center, and then, of course, building localized methodologies around that would be very, very useful. And of course, we have to keep scale in mind. Whenever developing something, let's make sure that, that we can enable this to millions of farmers and not just tens of thousands of farmers. That's very important for climate action to take place. I'll just skip this, and with that, I would like to end. I hope I've not gone over my time, and I hope that we have time for questions and answers. Once again, I thank for the organizers for this, and I appreciate this opportunity very, very much. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Anirudh, for a very clear and vivid message you have given.
Thank you, sir.
A sequence of events are also very nicely sketched, and the illustrations are also very informative. Thank you very much for giving your time. Now I request participants.
Anirudh.
Sir.
This
Welcome,
is
sir.
Professor S.V. Reddy.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Very, very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anirudh, and it was a very thought-provoking talk. And I must congratulate you and Ramu, who is my colleague and a friend too.
Ramu sir, he's a genius.
So really, this is the subject today everybody is talking about. And I don't know why we are so much lagging behind, and now we are trying to talk about it too many times. Because, I was in East Africa, quite a long time with World Bank. So at that time itself, the idea of this carbon credit was mooted, but it was on forestry, all that type happening, but not with the crops. and the soil. And now the movement of regenerative agriculture, so which the globally everybody is talking about. Of course, nomenclatures will differ. You know, sustainable agriculture can have many things, natural, organic, all that type of thing. But you know, many people, for example, there is a Better Cotton initiative, which is there in 23 countries. So I was also a council member of the BCI, and we have been practicing that since 1 decade almost. So now the whole thing we have switched on more and more, talking about regenerative agriculture and the soil, you know, and of course many other factors like water, biodiversity, so many other things, much more. But what many people were asking me was, is there anyone, any organization in India who can able to help us, you know, in quantifying, because we have also been doing for 2 decades the sustainable agriculture practices in both in chili, cotton, paddy, and many other things. But can anybody can able to quantify these type of things? So where we are trying to do it, and also see that farmers and also the organization which is helping them can also be benefited, because we have put two things. So both you know, organization as well as farmers, both of them can be helpful, because more and more farmers can be trained, more and more people can have adoption and all that. It is wonderful. And probably I don't want to, you know, share many things at that point of time. What I will try to do is I will give a detailed mail. So what we did, probably even from the carbon credit point of view also, and also the sustainable agriculture, I will give a detailed mail to you, our efforts, and we'll be very happy to join with you in this movement. Okay, so later on we can discuss more. So first, let me try to give a detailed mail. You know, how we can work together.
Of course, and I appreciate that, Professor Reddy. With that, I would just want to take 1 minute, because Professor brought on a very important point of the quantification. I'd like to just take you through, I'll just take 2 minutes through a real world, I would say, example of the quantification, an example of the quantification.
Okay.
So are you able to see this?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay, so this is the case of the stubble burning. I just prepared this in the,
I
if I had
know.
time. So this is one of the farmers in Punjab, this is through my phone. I have clicked this picture, and I have just taken the latitude and longitude of this farmer. Okay, the location, the geofence of this farmer.
Okay.
And once I came back to Bangalore, I asked my team to look at this farmer's soil carbon stocks. Okay, through our algorithm. Now you can see, sir, that the stubble burning happens in November and December. This I took in 2022, sir. Okay. So you can see that there is a big drop in the soil carbon, right, during the stubble burning. And of course, the drop is also because this farmer has harvested, but this is a big drop. Okay.
Yes.
Please note the slope of this.
Yes,
drop.
I am able to see.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, sir, this is one of our farmers, very, very amazing farmer. And you can see that he is an amazing farmer, because already he is putting the crop residue back and also putting the wheat at the same time, right? So minimum tilling, which is the less disturbance,
exactly.
And of course the crop residue. Now, sir, please note over here, look at how stable this person or this farmer's soil carbon stocks are, and look at the slope of his drop. It's much lower compared to this. So of course we will be very keen to help you quantify the efforts, and of course potentially collaborate with you. But this is the kind of robustness or data sets that we want to bring to every farmer that we work with. So yeah, I'll stop here. Yeah.
Sure. I think we'll be in touch. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your participation. Yeah, others, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, Anirudh, sir. Madam.
Anyone who wants to clarify? Any doubts? Ma'am, Sudharani ma'am, do you want to speak anything? No audio, please.
I appreciate Mr. Anirudh for a very, very detailed and very comprehensive and very easily palatable to the participants. He has nicely presented. And whatever the issue as it was discussed from the first speaker onwards, and few of the participants were asking, the methodologies of quantification and how best a single farmer, if he wants to what you call enter into carbon trading, what he has to do. Simplest things, maybe if we make a humbler and simple beginning,
Completely.
I think we will definitely move ahead forward. So in this regard, I request our Anirudh and Bhumitra people, why not we have a dialogue? You have a dialogue with ICAR. We have a KVK system, frontline extension system already functioning. So why don't we can have together some technology assessment in this regard? So how a farmer can go and testing it in their own field, so that then we can expect some group of farmers coming together, then we can expect them to farm into a FPO and all. Now what we are generally, what I observed from various experiences I heard so far is most of the private sector and corporate companies, they are linking themselves to FPOs, and through them they are trying to go ahead with the carbon trading. But we, the public sector organizations and state agricultural universities, we are involved in frontline extension, and we want to start from one farmer, then reach many. So I think that basically the mindset of the farmers towards this particular concept need to be changed. Their attitudes need to be changed. So better we can think of having some demonstrations in the farmers' locations through KVKs, so that then they themselves can farm into FPOs, and then they can be after the people who are involved in trading the carbon trade. So yeah, now what we are doing is we are trying to access the FPOs and then do. Now let FPOs start coming forward, or let farmers start coming forward for taking up this particular aspect. So have a what you call thought over this, and you can access even our Atari directory is there. One day we can have a small meet and then think of on these lines.
No, thank you so much, Honorable Director, for that suggestion. Completely agreed with you that India is a very large country, and if we want, as I've said, inclusivity, if we want to have inclusivity, only corporates is not possible, only Bhumitra is not possible, only KVK is also not. No, all of us, it has to come under like one umbrella, and then we need to work towards this. We need to build the capacity of the FPO so that they can collect the data, so that they can disseminate the information, right? We need to build that capacity at the same time. And Director, completely, we'll be very open to having a conversation with your network for the localization of the methodologies. And I would go one step back rather to say that the proof, as they say, is in the pudding, right? Because ma'am, to tell the farmer to change a practice, that's a very risky proposition you're taking, right? No, neither you nor I think anybody is going to sort of be full force behind. That is, ma'am, why it is our thought process that let us start with some low-hanging fruit. Which could be that maybe some farmers are doing organic farming, right? Organic farming is additional by nature, and it is shown to improve soil organic carbon levels. Maybe there are some farmers in Telangana who are not burning their cotton stock and they are putting it back into the soil. Why not work with a small set of these farmers, maybe a couple of thousand of these farmers, to provide them with the carbon finance first? Now what will happen is they will tell their neighbors that, oh, I did this, I got, and that is much more of a motivator. It is maybe my humble opinion is that than us telling anybody. That's the best form of marketing. So ma'am, we'll be happy to explore these strategies with you and of course work together on creating, as I said, an enabling ecosystem for every farmer to come in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Sir, Anirudh, thank you for your this one. I'm Venkatesh from Department of Horticulture, Karnataka.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Actually, I have one question. As we have say minimum area to be specified, like when you start or we start to have carbon credit sequestering, is there any criteria that minimum area should be like 100 acre or 50 acre like that? Or see, in Karnataka we have a largest mango growing belt like Kolar and Chikbalapur, where we grow 1 lakh hectare in one district.
Ji, sir.
So is there any limit like 500 acre to be there or 100 acre to be there like that for this kind of program?
Great question, sir. So there are two, when you say limit, I'll try and take it in two aspects. One is the individual farmer.
Madam.
Sir, so our farmers are having anywhere from 0.5 acres in India to, I've even met some farmers in Brazil who are having 100,000 hectares, one single farmer, right? So we are in that entire spectrum. Yeah. Now, with regard to the project, okay, sir, for a project, for it to make sense, because we have to think of it from a buyer perspective, right? Because the buyer is providing the payout. So the buyers want, the kind of buyers we deal with, they want large amount of credits. So it will be best, even if the farmer is 1 acre and it's one of them is in Chikbalapur, the other one is in Anantapur, the other one is in another district. If we can bring together a large number of farmers together, okay, then it becomes very, very interesting, because as I said, scale must be kept in mind. And we can start, as I said, with the low-hanging fruit first, the organic, the advanced farmers, bring them, and then of course create a large project. But individual farmland, sir, I think every farmer in India, even as of today, has more than an acre of land. So in that context, sir, we want, as I said, let's include the farmers rather than exclude them from the climate action.
Thank you.
Appreciate your question, sir. Sir, I saw one hand up. I think they've raised it. Lowered it, but yeah.
Any others, please? So the number is more than 100 participants. It's an overwhelming response. So
AOTNJ, I think they raised their hand again now. Yeah.
Yes, sir, madam, please go ahead if you have any questions.
Agriculture officer from Tamil Nadu, I suppose.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, actually, I had the question, but now I cleared, sir. So only I my hand.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
In the process of discussion, your question has been solved. You got the answer for.
Yes, sir. My question is, how can the individual farmer can get benefit from the carbon credit system? So that is my question, sir.
Yeah. No, so I mean, that's a very important one. It is just like Honorable Director mentioned, the power of collectivization through the FPOs, whether it's in their selling capacity to the big traders or just in their buying capacity for good inputs. Similarly, in the carbon context as well, we must collectivize things together to create a large project. Because see, the cost of certification, which is tens of thousands of dollars, many tens of thousands of dollars, right? And includes bringing the auditor, they have their fees, the standard body has their fees. So it does not make sense for farmers in India to go for a project by themselves. But once again, as ma'am has very clearly mentioned, through the power of collectivization, very powerful things are possible. So we would encourage farmers to form a group, a collective, build capacity, and of course, leverage this opportunity.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And Anirudhji, what I feel is we have to, the cropping system also should be changed rather than going for the monocropping. And we have only predominantly, we are going for the 3 crops, especially in our southern India, paddy, cotton, and maximum in the Rabi season, we go for the groundnut.
Yeah.
But we are completely get rid of the ID crops, millets, being the international year of millets. Now we are striving hard to restore the glory of the millets, as well as oilseed crops, castor.
Yes.
Is completely decimated from the picture of the oilseed crops. So only oilseed crop means we look at a groundnut, and maximum we are trying hard to push the oil palm now.
Yes.
So this cropping system definitely plays a major role, as some of the participants have rightly told, pulses.
Pulses.
So
yes.
we can take the credit, carbon credit, due to the these pulses. Natural way of improving the fertility of the soils or improving the soil organic carbon. How we can calculate it? So unless we bring a paradigm shift in the cropping pattern from this pattern of monocropping, I think we may not
Yes.
improve the carbon, as well as whatever, whether it is the carbon financing, trading, sequestration, whatever we talk, unless we start our journey from that perspective.
Yeah. Yes, whatever Director EA has told is very, very essential. And there are many what you call intricacies basically. Why farmer is sticking on to monocropping only.
Yeah.
And why we have seen in the previous presentation also, if you look at the northeastern states, the organic carbon levels are very high,
Yeah.
and the emissions are very low. The reason simply being they are not either continuously growing either rice or any cereal crop. Instead, they are it is not there. That's why it is being maintained. Now, why farmer again is going for these crops is because of MSP. See, it is all interlinked to market,
Yes.
MSP. We have programs on one side like PM Pranam, just now it has been discussed. We have many programs which really encourage natural farming, organic farming. And at the same time, what happens now, since these things are already there, only for a few crops we have MSP. So for those crops where there is no MSP, people are not inclined to cultivate those crops. So lot of this should be thought of in a multi-dimensional angle from a multiple perspective. And then as Anirudh was rightly telling, we all have to bring this under one umbrella. It is not that it is possible only for one or two organizations or institutions. So every one of us should converge, come and direct all our efforts in carrying forward this sort of concepts especially. So yes, definitely hope for the best. We have made a beginning, and our farmers are such farmers, if they really what you call taste the benefit and the success of any aspect, they are first to innovate themselves. So we have a hope, a ray of hope is there, and we all need to work together to make it realized. Okay.
Completely agreed. Appreciate that point of view. Yes, definitely. As like climate act, that is why it is called global warming and not India warming or China. It is a global
Global warming.
Yes.
Sir.
So El Nino doesn't affect just China. It affects us and everybody else as well. Yeah.
Sir, when this concept has started, sir, carbon trading, and is it India has a full-fledged procedure, standardized procedures implementing, and who are the board members, sir, for this, for financing to carbon crediting?
Yeah, great question, sir. And I will tell you an answer now, but probably in 3 weeks' time, this may change because it's an evolving space. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So in India currently, and I'll be very specific to soil and farmers. Okay, in India currently, voluntary carbon markets are the way for the farmers to gain access to carbon finance. But very near in the future, there may be an opportunity through Article 6, whether it be through bilateral treaty with maybe South Korea or Japan or other countries, for that exchange to also take place. Currently, India is drafting its thoughts on the green credit program. There is not too much clarity on whether it will sit on top of the voluntary market, it will sit beside it, what will be the exact structure, that is still being figured out. I believe that at COP28 in Dubai in November, we will have some more clarity. At the same time, India is also pushing its own carbon market, but that is in the energy sector, because as you know, India is a very big importer of fossil fuels. So to encourage, let's say, green hydrogen or production of solar at a larger scale, the government is very rightfully incentivizing those initiatives to take place. Hopefully, and soon they may include the agriculture sector as well under this umbrella. But the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and sometimes maybe, let's say, the allied industries, for example, in our case, the Ministry of Agriculture, may be the focal points for this.
Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate your question a lot. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Audible, sir?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Sir, myself, Dr. Majid Ahmad, sir, working as Assistant Director in Department of Agriculture, Andhra Pradesh. Sir, at a field level, what I am observing is there are many NGOs coming to us. They are telling that farmers have to sign so and so forms. We will pay them some 5,000 to 10,000 per year due to this carbon credits. And the crops grown are in general mango. So I asked them, what is your identity and who have given you permission, and like that. When I asked for all those things, then just they escaped and they didn't come to us. What my question is there any regulatory system at ground level, and who has been permitted and who has been given license to give farmers carbon credits and helping them? Is there any regulatory system? Thank you, sir.
Great question, very important question on this, because there have been cases not in India particularly, but for example in carbon projects in the Amazon or other places where through this some bad actors have taken advantage of the farmers. It is very important that we not have that, right? Because as I said, the farmers are the stewards of the land. They have to gain the maximum out of this ecosystem, right? So as of today, I should, as I've mentioned, that currently there is the voluntary carbon market, wherein which the operational, by the name of it, is voluntary. Now, in this particular case, it is the farmer who is, for example, as I said, we work with 100,000 farmers. So it is the farmer who has given us permission to work with them, which means that, as I said, we have very stringent data privacy policy. Okay. So the farmer has provided us their Aadhaar card, their land record for us to verify whether the land they have provided is correct or not through the geofencing, right? They have read through the contract in which they are going to be part of this carbon program. So it is the farmer who has enabled us or who has given us permission to do the same. And I'll be very candid with you, sir, and it's a public forum, but I wish that, you know, for an acre of farmer, 5 or 10,000 rupees would have been possible as of today and at today's prices. Sometimes, you know, they say if something seems too good to be true, it generally is. So these are sometimes, you know, that people offer something to get into the long-term contracts. So it is very important for us to get into some of the details with regard to this. What is the time period that they are locking in the farmer for? Are they locking in the farmer? Because I know our contracts stipulate that if a farmer is unhappy, they can walk. Of course, we don't want the farmer to walk away ever. That is why we are offering them the NPK, soil moisture, but they can walk away at any given time with 30 days notice, but some may not have that. We have to make sure that the majority of the value goes back to the farmers. Many of them may not have that. So as Honorable Director has mentioned, we need to have a cohesive discussion, all of us together, to create some kind of a sort of preamble of sorts, saying that, okay, these are the principles by which every carbon project developer should operate by. Because what this is going to do is that it is going to create integrity in the commodity that we are creating. And of course, through that, we will expand the market. So yeah, a lot of work to be done on this. Currently, there is no regulatory authority. It is up to project developers to go out there and take permission from the farmers. I'm also okay saying that not all project developers have the best terms and conditions. It is up to you as an oversight or as a body to sort of advise the farmers on what is right and what is wrong. And of course, read the details of those particular aspects. Yeah, sorry if I went a little bit off topic, but I hope that was helpful, sir.
Very nice, sir. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ramanjal Garu, as well as Anirudhji. Now the both presentations have surfaced an interesting aspects that the crude reality is that carbon financing is a reality, carbon credit is a reality, and there is every need that 8 billion people should think very seriously about how best we can reduce the degree of reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions. So for that, whether it is carbon credit or green products, through different standards, gold standards, or different kinds of protocols were established, but still these have to be strengthened, and collectivization is required, and the roles and responsibilities have to be clearly delineated in the form of legal frameworks, as well as sharing mechanisms of the whoever contributing a lot for disturbing the ecology environment. So they have to be punished. The penal mechanism has to be clearly delineated in the law. So such kind of things may come up in future. I think this particular 2 sessions given food for thought. Food for thought, really we have been sensed a lot towards this carbon credit as a whole. Thank you very much, Anirudhji, as well as Dr. Ramanjal Garu. Now I think formal vote of thanks by Dr. Praveen.
Okay. I thanks to all the participants, 105 participants from headed from different departments like agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, sericulture, and etc. Thanks for their clarifying doubts. And I thanks Shri Sanjay Kalikar sir, Joint Director, Extension Training, Directorate of Extension, Department of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, Farmer Welfare, Government of India. Sir has told that through carbon trading, it is very beneficial. It can overcome the consequences of climate change. And also I thanks Dr. V. Sudharani Madam, Director of Extension, PJTSU, Hyderabad. Madam has focused on the importance of carbon trading, how the extension persons have to become aware and give positive training to the farming community to overcome the consequences of poisonous gas emission. And also I thanks to our Director, Extension Education Institute, M. Jagan Mohan Reddy sir, who is behind the program. Since from 3 days, sir has selected wonderful speakers for this program. I thanks once again to our Director, Jagan Mohan Reddy sir. And also I thanks the first speaker, Dr. G.V. Ramanjanelu. He is an Executive Director for Center for Sustainable Agriculture located at Tarnaka. Sir, Ramanjanelu sir has given basic information about this carbon trading, how the different poisonous gases emits and different crops affecting, and also scope for carbon emission and carbon financing and carbon credit and different aspects for this carbon trading. I thanks to Ramanjanelu sir. And also I thanks to second speaker, Mr. Anirudh Keni. Is a Director of Business Development and Partnership, APAC, Africa, Bhumi Mitra. Sir, you have given a wonderful lecture, sir. So many aspects have been covered regarding Article 6.2, Article 6.4 and different models and key findings, recommendations and different policy framework and capacity building programs for the encouragement of the farmers. Thank you very much, sir. And I want to thanks to our EI faculty members and technicians and other members of Extension Education Institute. So they are behind us for the successful implementation of this webinar on carbon trading in agri and allied sector. And also I want to thanks to Department of Extension and other department officials for participating this webinar on carbon trading in agri and allied sector. Once again, thanks to one and all, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for organizing. This was very, very helpful. And as I said, hope we can work, all of us can work together. I've given my mobile number and email address. Please, if you have any ideas or thoughts, please do reach out to me, and yeah, hope to be in touch. Thank you.
I think the entire globe has to work together.
I think that is why the global warming, we have to come together. It's a good aspect of unity, I guess.
The same is the spirit of our G20 summit, which is going to be held shortly, the final meeting at Delhi on 8th, 9th and 10th.
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the speakers as well as the guests and the participants who are very keen for these 3 hours continuously. You have reposed your attention, and we will meet again, Anuji, for another webinar with a much more that is carbon trading 2.0. We will meet. Thank you.
Done, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time.